Recording in progress.
Okay. All right.
I know.
So President Debbie is at a other charitable event today, so I'm stepping into her shoes one more time. So just wanted to acknowledge that the Rotary Club of Innisfil is situated on treaty land with a steeped and rich Indigenous history. We acknowledge that this land is the traditional territories of the First Peoples of Turtle Island. It is shared between the Anishinaabe people of Bowes Lake First Nation, Chippewas of Rama First Nation, and Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation, and we thank them for generations of stewardship. We all rise for the singing of O Canada. I don't have a backing track to it, so. O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. The King and Queen. All right. Okay, we have a fairly packed meeting agenda today. So Al, how about you start us off with some good old Sergeant Barb's report?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, fellow Rotarians. Who we got on Zoom?
We have John and Teresa.
So, Teresa, good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning, everyone.
You okay this morning?
Excellent.
Okay, John, nice to see you this morning.
Nice to see you guys. Thank you.
Everything okay with you this morning?
I got a bit of a sore throat and a cough. That's why I didn't come in today.
Oh.
No.
Oh, I
Hopefully we'll
can't,
get through that pretty quick.
John, I can't imagine having a sore throat. I wouldn't talk. I mean, that would be terrible for me. Okay, so this morning we've got some guests here. Now, Shannon from the library going to be on here?
No, she'll be here in a little while.
Okay, but we have Aaron, the boss at the library, the wonderful Lakeshore Library in Ideal. You know, every time you talk to anybody about the library in Innisfil, they talk about this place. And I gotta tell you, it's turning into be the center of the town. And you've done a heck of a job. You really have, but you have a wonderful staff.
Wonderful staff, wonderful board, wonderful community.
And one of them is Rob,
Absolutely.
who takes care of us here, and he's a great guy. So Aaron, congratulations on a wonderful place here, it really is. Okay. We have some special guests. Henry, inspector from South Simcoe, and it's always nice to see you guys here. You're well represented, and usually the chief's here, but we can't make it. You're the guy this morning. So how's everything at the police department?
Great. The chief sends us regrets he has a board meeting this morning, so people can meeting. So I'm happy to be here. I work out of the South Division at Bradford primarily. I used to work out of Alcona here in Innisfil. So some of you are familiar faces to me, and maybe as well for you. But I'm the inspector that oversees command of the South Division primarily in support services. Well, if we had more time, I know you have a busy agenda. I'd let you know that I like long walks on the beach and red bars.
Please tell your people, the Rotary Club of Innisfil appreciates everything they do. We know, both uniform and civilian, and it's important that they hear that, because most of the public, I think all the public feel that way, but you don't hear from them. So it's not the majority. So, and we've got Katie back here who has COVID. And good morning, Katie. Nice to see you.
Good morning, friends.
And a special guest, Jason Rayner. Jason is the vice president in charge of strategy at the RDH. So, the RDH is in good hands.
Yeah, I hope so.
And how are you doing?
Very good.
Everything okay?
Nice to see everyone.
How are those little ones? They must be getting big.
Yes, 8 and 4.
8? Oh,
Wow.
I'm now an official member of the very Rotary Club. So
oh, okay, good.
this is the makeup in addition to saying hello to people.
Congratulations. Congratulations. All right, so,
This place is super fun.
well, Jason, it's always good to see you here. It really is. And please don't be a stranger here, okay? All right, so, this morning, I quickly want to introduce you to some special people because I know most of you know what's going on, but for some of you who don't. The RDH has a program on. It's called the Keep Life Wild fundraising program. It's been in existence for 2 years. The goal is it's a 10-year program. It's to raise $100 million. And what we're going to do is we're going to double the size of the RDH and we're going to build the South Campus in Innisfil, which when it's completed will be the same size as what the RDH was when it was completed. So in essence, we're going to have a hospital here in Innisfil. And that's absolutely fantastic news. So this morning, I want to introduce you to some special people. The first one is Ann Kell, because these people are on our South Cabinet. And we're the fundraising volunteers here in Innisfil. So we have Ann Kell, we have Barbecki, and we have Ann Smith. 3 lovely ladies who work very hard. They have put in long hours, volunteering, and getting the word out on our campaign. Katie, a member of our club, works for the RDH Foundation and is our key person here in Innisfil. She's our go-to person. And Katie, we really appreciate everything you do. And I'll tell you, she's a wonderful young lady to work with. We're lucky to have her. In the fall, joining us will be Ken Simpson. And Ken, we're looking forward to you joining our team. And thank you so much for your interest in what we're doing.
You're making it. Maybe you can apply.
Now, we also have another gentleman who's going to be joining our team, and that's Robbie.
Oh, very
No,
good.
Rob, and he's looking forward to that. So, just when you thought the good news couldn't get any better, I got some terrific news for you. Last night at the board meeting, at our Rotary board meeting, the board has pledged over the next 5 years, $20,000 to the campaign. So, that's absolutely fabulous. So what I want you to do is, I want you to get the word out there, help us. People are always asking about this. Oh yeah, well, we're never going to see it. No, you are. This is going to happen. And Jason, fair to say that out of the 100 million we're looking for, we got to run 40 million right now, roughly. Okay.
We need more, lots more.
Yeah. And I got to tell you a quick funny story. So Howard Courtney had a board meeting at the church many years ago before they built that beautiful big church. And he had all of the members of the congregation and the board, they were all there. And he told them what it was going to cost to build this building. And they said, oh my God. He says, well, how are we going to do that? He said, well, it's already happening. The money's all here. We've got the money. And he said, well, where is it? He said, it's in your pocket. and you know, Howard, so that went ahead and that was built. So, so thank you for the time this morning to talk about this. Rotary clubs in this area have always been a key part of the hospital. And going forward, I'm sure the relationship between the Innisfil Rotary Club and the South Campus will be a very strong one. So, Jason, thanks for everything you're doing at the hospital. Katie, thank you so much. And great to see everybody this morning. As you can tell, I'm a little bit pumped this morning.
Yeah. Are you? Tis the season.
Already?
This is a zucchini.
Oh, I thought it was
It's cartoon.
No, it's a zucchini.
Wow.
And Anne is taking one home to her house to keep care of. And if anybody wants this, here it is. And this is just the beginning of I can't eat any more zucchini.
We have people go. So I'll just add to that. So in all deference to everybody with RBH, Katie, and all the members, another reason why we decided to go with the $20,000 pledge was that as we're going out there and fundraising, we didn't want people just to think that we are an arm of RBH. It's not necessarily the best public relations for a Rotary Club. So we wanted them to understand that we value what's coming, but we also value all the other people in the community that need our help.
Yes.
And so saying that there's a pledge of a very specific amount just basically says that we're going to be doing so much more. So the more money we raise, the more people we help, not just RBH.
Right.
So that was a big reason.
And Shannon, welcome this morning.
Thank you.
You're going to be properly introduced by Ann Smith, who you know very well. But thank you for coming. A warm welcome to you ladies from the library. And you missed the first part where we were talking about this building and the ideal land. What a wonderful place.
It really
It is, I would say it's turned out to be the center of the town.
It really is.
So a warm welcome from all of us to you, okay? All right, Tim, that's it.
Thank you. All right, before we move on to that, Debbie asked me to play the video from my interview with Rogers TV about the Peace Bowl project, so that everybody can get a good update on that one. So I'm just going to get that going now. And forgive my use of I in this. I really should have used we more, but it was a one take thing. I improvised the entire interview.
Hi there, I'm Tim Norden and I'm the immediate past president with the Rotary Club of Innisfil. I'm also the youth services coordinator, but while I was president, I actually brought the Peace Pole project to Innisfil. We're still working on the project, and our plan right now is to actually put the poles in the ground in September of this year. There are going to be 7 poles, 3 of which are already completed, and we're still feverishly working on the next 4, and with fantastic artists doing brilliant work. The Peace Pole project was initiated many years ago by a Japanese philanthropist, and it was adopted by many people within Rotary International to be a representative of peace around the world. So may peace prevail on earth is typically portrayed on each of the poles in multiple languages, typically English, and then we have French. We could have Hungarian. We have many that actually have Anishinaabe and other Aboriginal languages. We have, you could have Italian and Swahili, any language in the world. It's basically trying to show that we're not just marginalizing one particular creed. It is a concept of peace completely globally around the world. So the 7 poles that I brought in, I approached multiple artists within the town, typically ones that we've known within the Rotary, but occasionally we find people through word of mouth that are just their ability and skill and their willingness to give back it fits perfectly with the creed that Rotary has. Ron Haste is an artist here in town that's very, very well known. We're also dealing with April Paul, who is an Indigenous artist from the East Coast. She's done absolutely brilliant work in her pole. Another artist we have is Jamie Hardy, who actually painted the very first pole that we had brought into the organization, and it's going to be placed at the Idea Lab in Alcona. Ron's pole, Ron Haste, his pole is going to be placed in the Rotary Trail, which is over near the town offices and the police station. April Paul's is going to be placed in the Legion in Bellewart. Jeanette Lacasey is another artist that we have who's painting hers, and she's going to be placing hers in Guildford. We have Nev Cowan, who's painting one that's going to be going in Friday Harbor. And we're working with 1 or 2 other artists right now, who's just working out the fine details, but the expectation is that we will have all the poles in the ground for September 1st. Knowing that the ground around Innisfil has a tendency to be rather sodden and wet, we had to make sure we had poles that were tall enough that we could have great artwork being seen without too much of the pole have a chance of it falling down. So we managed to have a couple poles that were donated to us by Greg Bray who's a local maple syrup manufacturer, but he also has a sawmill. So he provided 2 for free, and then we actually purchased the other 5 from him at a significantly reduced rate. I was almost embarrassed how much he gave us. He's a great person in the community. So they're pine. So we have to make sure that they are well treated and well protected against the elements, because most people say cedar or nothing. Pine is still okay, and it's still going to have a good 20+ year lifespan. When I approached all of the artists, all of them were very anxious about what I would want to see on the pole, as if I was going to be mandating everything. And I said, no, actually, this is the greatest metaphor of peace we can think of. As long as it shows, may peace prevail on earth in multiple languages, I wanted each of these artists to give of themselves. What is it they're bringing to the table? And be artists. Just show, because these are not just a couple words that we want people to pass by. These are beautiful pieces of art representative of Innisfil that we hope to actually excite people for generations to come. Very similar to the Ice Hut program that was at the Innisfil Beach Park and other places where artists are really having an ability to kind of stretch their muscles and show what they're capable of doing. It will be a phased approach with this. The intention right now is first to get all 7 poles in the ground and then having an actual unveiling, and then we will have a plaque representative of each artist. But in the meantime, if you want more information about the project, you can go to rotaryclubofinnisfil.ca, which is our website, and there will be a link within that page that has the full details of the actual Peace Pole project. The Rotary Club of Innisfil, we've been around for 13 years, and we have a lot of very exciting events coming up, including the Harvest Dinner this fall. But in the meantime, we meet every Wednesday morning at 7:30 a.m. at the Idea Lab in Elkona. We are open to guests all the time, and we're always looking for people who have a particular message that they may perhaps want to get out there. And we have guest speakers that come and speak to us all the time. And so if you want to talk to us, please feel free to reach out to us anytime. And I know that our current president, Debbie Savick, and I, and all of the other Rotarians would be very happy to have you join us.
Questions on that before we move on to some fun? All right, so all right, we're going to get through this one really fast, actually. So we had an interesting conversation last night about the good news round, and I know there's some thoughts in the club. Do we go with themes? Do we not go with themes? So really, Debbie's actually asked that today is, as it's National Aunt and Uncle's Day, as people give their good news talk, if you have some really good news that's pending, go for it. But if you're struggling, think of a favorite aunt and uncle. Think of maybe being an aunt and uncle. So just these are prompts just to kind of make it easier for some of us who may not think of. So that instead of always saying just happy to be here, maybe you do have something that the entire club would love to be able to hear. So do we have the Al's got it? All right, so Al, kick us off, sir.
Well, unfortunately for me, it's a bad subject because when you're 78, all your aunts and uncles are dead.
But did you have a favorite story about it?
I had absolutely no control over it. It just happened. But I did get to meet them when I was younger, and they were wonderful, wonderful people. Okay. Anyway, my good news this morning is it's about Cindy Kid Cahoon, my granddaughter. She just turned 17. This weekend, she's competing at the Can-Am Center in Markham. It was supposed to be in Edmonton, and they changed the games to Toronto. And she's competing to go to the Nationals. in the Nationals of the time trials. The Nationals of the time trials for the Olympic Games. But my wonderful news is that Syndicate is ranked in Canada. Of all the swimmers involved in coming up and looking at going to the Olympics, there's a ranking. And in Canada, for the 200 butterfly, which is probably one of the hardest ones, she's ranked 27th in the country of Canada. Well, I'm sorry, but I still love good news.
Okay, Grandma.
Do you have any good news, Sarah? Well, it's sad news, but I would like to just acknowledge one of our longtime Innisfil residents who passed away last week, Henry Ward, who I know some of you are familiar with, who was the owner of Park DM, the apple orchard. And he was a longtime Innisfil resident, owned the property that was then sold to be San Diego Bakers, and had the orchard for many years, and was very well known with the credit union as well as the St. James Church in Stroud. But such an incredible person that did a lot for our community, and so many people did know, and was related to many other people who were long-time residents. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Okay, yeah, it was a really great guy.
So I didn't really have any good news this morning, but on the farm, we're just getting ready to start the week. It stays sunny and the rain stops. Favorite uncle? I had an uncle who was from Holland, who was a little boy during World War II. This uncle was the favorite because I think he was born being a business entrepreneur. Because it was like he had the Midas touch. Every business he started when he was here in Canada just did really well. And he was able to use that to give back to the community. But his Midas touch started when he was about 8 in Holland. The war had just ended and things were pretty tough. And my uncle would go up to the Canadian and the American soldiers that were there, and they would give him chocolate bars. And rather than eat them, he would collect them, and then he would go to another group of soldiers and he would sell them. Anyway, that's my favorite story.
Good morning. I have one aunt left. Miss Sue, and she's not even blood related. She's my blood related uncle's wife. So all the others have gone. I had a lot of great aunts and uncles because we had them in Austria and Germany and here. So yeah, and I have 6 nieces and nephews. So she's a great. I was always the one that gave toys at Christmas, so they loved me. That's how you get it. That's how you win that.
Actually made me think this morning. I have a lot of aunts and uncles too, because in the day, my father was one of 8 children and my mother was one of 7. So there was a lot of aunts and uncles. And but Uncle Jack never married. Uncle Jack was a bachelor until we found a lady friend. And then, but he had to explain that to us, that he wasn't married to her. She was going to live in his house and she would make dinner for him. And I guess me, I said, you have to marry her then. Like it just seemed obvious to me. Why did Uncle Jack not know that? But Uncle Jack was the uncle who always gave the toys at Christmas and not projects and things like that. They were always fun things. And Uncle Jack is why we went to see Grandpa Helen.
My mom was the youngest of 13. My husband's mom had 9 siblings, so we have more aunts and uncles than we want to deal with. One of the aunts is still alive on my husband's side. She's 102. She's completely with it and lives in Holland Marsh. She's a wonderful, wonderful lady. All the rest have gone on to greener pastures now, but we've got so many nieces and nephews, I can't keep track of them either, but I think we're good. And some
Morning, this is Robin for Katie.
thank you.
So, yeah, I have 3 uncles and 3 aunts, so 3 brothers, 3 brothers married 3 sisters. So we had a very close knit uncles and aunts, and they lived in the Ivy area and Thornton, Stroud. And yeah, we made for a great relationship. The brothers are very close. They were all engravers. Some of them did engraving, especially Uncle Chuck for people's credit jewelers. He did hand engraving. It was very good at it.
I don't know my aunts and uncles that well, but going to a wolf sanctuary next week, so I'm looking
You might
forward to
find
that now.
I had 21 aunts and uncles in total. I still have 5 left. They're all under, I don't know, late 80s, early 90s now, the ones that are still around. But they were all great because I had the ones that were involved where I went to visit several times. And they like to party over there, so. That's party.
I'd like to thank my uncles and aunts for bringing me such a great example over the years that I just recently found out I'm the fun uncle.
Carry gun.
Sorry, my aunt, 96 years old, she just got a rehab, she's living by herself, and she's fighting me, I want to put internet in the house, so I can use my cell phone to spy on her. You gotta shout out to her.
Guys, I just feel like I have lots of good news. Just got back from vacation. It was fabulous, although I did catch COVID, but thankfully the symptoms are like super mild. But when it comes to aunts and uncles, part of the reason that I've been sort of able the last couple months is I've been spending a lot more time with my nieces. So I have a 9-year-old niece and she's 2.5-year-old niece. Just doing a lot of babysitting. My sister's going through separation, but that time with them, as much as this has been a little bit of an interesting few months, has been so nice. And just to see, my nieces with my kids and them develop that cousin relationship is really nice. So for me, I had, my parents are one of 4 each, so I was very close to my aunts and uncles, and my cousins are some of my best friends. So it's nice that I can, do that for my kids.
Good morning. My brother's actually coming home this week. He lives in the States for school. So I'm really excited because this is the first time I'm seeing him since Christmas. So we're actually going to see a lot of my aunts and uncles while he's home. So I'm really excited to get to see them and my cousins.
Thanks for including us. My good news is my nephew and his wife just had their first baby, and so it's my first great niece. And she was born on Friday, Isabella Selena, and I'm anxious to meet her. They live in Petawawa. And then my first great nephew will be 1 next week, so we're happy to be able to celebrate with them.
I guess in a way, I have aunts and uncles, but they're in England, and they're quite distant in respect to that. We only have 2 surviving aunts and uncles right now, so. But interestingly enough, last summer, last July, Ken and I met with one of his aunts who we haven't seen in 50 years. And she's in her late 70s, and it's unbelievable to be able to catch up with her and enjoy the time we had with her, in that respect. So it was all of fun.
We take only one,
Yeah, a few months.
So yeah, Jason Mayer, quick uncle story. My dad's brother was the joker of the family, I guess you could say. So I'm pretty sure I was around 6 or 7 when he started giving us sunshine calendars at Christmas. All of my extended family, which my mom and aunts were not super pleased with. It's probably not appropriate today. It was But my good news is we just finished cycling from Pittsburgh to Washington in the US, so about 420 kilometers over 4 days. So my legs are still sore.
Yeah. We probably passed you on the road, going like camp.
Yeah. It's a beautiful trail. Like they converted a rail line into a trail, so it follows the Potomac River basically. That area is just gorgeous.
Did you camp or?
No, we did Airbnbs actually.
Okay.
Which was good, except for the one night where we arrived at the Airbnb and there was a sign that said in big bold letters, "This is not an Airbnb, do not knock on the door, it's fraud." And so we knocked on the door anyway. Because we were exhausted after 100 kilometers. Come on, because the picture was the same.
Yeah.
And I guess it was a separation issue. The husband came to the door and said, "My ex-wife we're still having challenges, so she continues to post our house on Airbnb when it's not an Airbnb anymore. So that was unfortunate for them, because we of course not to get the story, which I feel bad about now. Anyway, we spoke to Alice, thank God. in that community. So we're just sleeping on the bench.
Oh, dear.
On your bike.
Actually, we have a late arrival. Taya, do you have any good news for us? And welcome back.
Sorry, I'm so late. I didn't realize I couldn't come across Innisfil Beach Road coming from Derry.
You call it, I have to come here more often.
No, I have to go. So nice to see all of you. That's my good news. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. I have an incredible amount of aunts and uncles, similar to what Ann was saying. My grandmother was the eldest of 18 kids, 2 of which didn't survive infancy, but from Saskatchewan, half were born in Saskatchewan, half were born in Ontario. My grandfather was the 3rd eldest of 9. So there was a lot of aunts and uncles, but my favorite uncle story is actually my uncle Nick, who passed away a couple of years ago. Is my Aunt Marilyn's husband, Nicola. He was actually born in Italy, but he loved to fish, and he was just a really, really good guy. He used to work as a buyer at AMP when it still existed before it became Metro and everything else. But he would buy me big slabs of female bacon. As a buyer, he had access to those kinds of things. That was my favorite thing as a kid, back bacon. So, but he's one of those people that I remember taking me when I was really quite young to Lake Erie, and would take me fishing, and those little moments you sometimes have, because my parents were really young. It was good to have other people that were adding that extra influence on a young child. It helps a lot. So that's my good news. Right. Excellent. Just a couple quick things from the meeting last night before we move on to our speakers. Susie and Ann, did you want to just give an update to the club on what we talked about? Remember?
Oh, yeah, we have, is it your church?
They started it, it's something else.
The Guilford Hall is having a soup contest again this year, and they invited the Rotary Club to join in. So we thought, in the old days when we were challenged with such an event, we would have a club fellowship night where we would come together and everyone would make something. We used to do the chili festival in Thornton. So we thought maybe we would do a soup challenge within the club. So anybody wants to bring their own flavor of soup, and then the best one that gets voted in will go on to represent our club at the contest in Guilford, sorry. It's early. So we decided that September 22nd, mark your calendars. If you can do, that's the night we're gonna do it at my house. So everybody, like in the old days, we used to come to a fellowship at my house, and everybody bring the crock pot with your soup, and we will try them out. Everyone's invited. I'll send an email out to everybody and invite everybody with the address, and we can make an event out of it, so we can all get to know each other a little bit better. And then we'll pick that best soup, and that person goes to the contest to represent the club.
Thank you, Susie. So the contest itself is October the 22nd from 12 till 2 at the hall in Guilford. So even if you're not a soup maker, or if you don't win the soup contest at Susie's, please come and support the contest at Guilford Hall. The funds that are raised go to the Canadian charities serving children around the world. So it's good cause.
Now, unless there's been a change since last night, I should put out to the club a call to action. If anybody is connected at all to a chef, we are okay. We have names?
Yeah, I've got 3 minutes.
Awesome. See that was a quick call to action. So yeah, just to make sure that we are solid for our harvest dinner. It's apparently it's a very, very popular date. So a lot of chefs out there are busy, or they're just not able to take on a philanthropist kind of role. Additionally, one thing that was brought up last night as well is, for those who don't know, Debbie has spoken to both Teresa and to Andrea, who are both online now, to take over as membership services co-chairs, so that we can begin moving forward in that aspect. However, it wasn't actually ratified by the club. So is there anybody in the club who has any reason to not be happy with that decision? Can I get a vote for everybody, that all members vote yes or yes?
Jim, can I recommend we change that to who can now vote to support the choice of, rather than say not have an objection? I think more positive. Better.
Okay, yep, okay, that's true. So is that a yes? Is that a yes to everybody? Can I have a raise of hands, everybody? Okay, congratulations, Teresa and Andrea. You are now officially our membership services co-chairs for the Rotary Club of Innisfil for 23-24. Excellent, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm just going over here. Was there anything else? Oh, yes. Youth services, so next generations. One thing that we've asked to have moved, yes, Barb. Debbie wants youth services to become involved with the garden. So I would like some people on my committee. So right now I don't have any committee members on next generations. So if we can, I would like us to begin meeting so we can plan out things for that, for the garden, so that I can support Jeff on that one. And the also to start Interact, which is where I'm hoping to get moving in the fall. So if anybody can reach out to me and let me know that if they're interested in being part of that committee, that'd be great. All right, we will move on to our speaker intro. So Anne, do you want to do our introduction to this?
I know Shannon has lots to tell us. We are running short on time, but if you need to leave at 8:30, please leave, but please allow Shannon, if she's still got lots to tell us about the library, to carry on maybe a little bit longer. But Shannon is the library services supervisor at the Innisfil Idea Lab and Library. She's worked at the library for over 7 years. She's the person you see when you come into the library. I love it when they come in and Shannon is the one at the desk because she's always so cheerful. I watch how helpful she is with all the patrons that come into the library. I have my own personal little story about Shannon. A couple of months ago when I was in hospital, I was in the ER, all hooked up to everything, and Shannon suddenly appeared and asked me if I wanted to borrow a library book. She happened to have with her, so me a library book at the hospital as well. So thank you, Shannon, for that. It was a great book, really enjoyed it. And Shannon, please go ahead with your presentation, and thank you.
That will lose. Oh yeah, I guess we did.
Is that okay?
Yeah. We're just not. Everybody's just not going to see our participants.
Oh,
but
the
that's okay.
meeting. Okay.
That's okay.
I wanted to introduce Abby while we get set up. Abby is one of our amazing summer students. We have 5 summer students at the library, and she's adult services. Technology is not my strong suit, don't tell him. But she made the PowerPoint because I think I've never made one before. So she was kind enough to help me out, and you can follow along as I have some stories to tell about the library. I have to say, you guys start your day very early today. It was hard getting up this early in the morning, but worth it.
I'm just going to quickly make sure that the camera's pointed. So that, are you going to?
Where's best? Oh, is that better?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. So more central.
Yeah,
Everybody,
sure.
I'm just going to point the camera, and I will get out of your way.
Okay. Me to go ahead. Perfect.
You are good.
So I was chatting with Erin recently, and she mentioned that the library was asked to present at Rotary, and if I had any ideas about who could that be or what we should talk about. And for some reason I said, I'll do it. And I have to tell you, public speaking is my worst fear. I think even after sharks and snakes, because I'm shaking up here. So maybe I have to do it more or never again, I'm not really sure. But I really wanted to share with you some of the things that have been happening in the library. I'm sure you already know that we have amazing programs and services as well as events that are happening. And I can say from experience, I think we're busier than we were in 2019. So it's really nice to see the big shift in people back to the library and using all of our services. And you know that the library's changed. You all remember a time when the library was a place of quiet contemplation. There was card catalogs and real encyclopedias, and the librarian was shushing you for whispering too loud. Obviously, we've evolved into the digital age as well as become a community hub, as you mentioned, Al. But other things have been changing, and some of these issues have been more difficult to resolve than just looking it up in a search catalog. So with the population increases and the complexity of people's situations, we get asked for so many different things like housing information, help with government forms, immigration services, job skills, transportation, and even medical issues. I can share with you back in the winter, we had a couple come in on a weekend. I wasn't working, but 2 other people on my team were here. And they asked if we had a first aid kit. So of course they said yes. So most of us are trained in basic first aid. And they went over with the first aid kit and said, how can I help you? She had taken off a bandage on her leg and it was black and it was blistered and it was pussy. We don't have a walk-in clinic here in Innisfil. Our staff had said, you know, we would love to help you, but we can't help you with what you have. We need to call an ambulance. The couple said, no, I can't go because they had no transportation to get home. Barrie will give you a bus ticket, but only within Barrie. And their cell phones couldn't be paid. They didn't have money to pay for their cell phones. They obviously didn't have a credit card and they were losing their housing in 3 days. So staff felt like there really wasn't a choice because she could have died from her infection. So they called the ambulance. And because we're a library and we're not their friends, we don't even know what happened after that. We know he stayed here hoping she would call the library to give an update, but they had been staying in the Busby in Barrie previously and they did not want to go back there. So, you know, our hands are tied, but we do the best we can with what we have here. And some days, you know, it's heavy, right? So libraries are trying to fill the gaps that have been left by decades of funding cuts by our various governments that provided important services and programs. And we're becoming the social safety net for many marginalized people in our area. And it's funny, someone once said to me, you have the best job in the world because you get to talk about books all day. And I will say I do have the best job in the world, but I don't get to talk about books all day. So I wanted to tell you another thing about Barrie or Innisfil, and I don't want to complain because I live here as well, but transportation is really difficult for people here. Not everybody has a credit card and not everybody has a cell phone. So a lot of the appointments people need to take are in Barrie or Bradford, and it's hard to get there. So we've cultivated over the years, and it's even been before COVID, but social services have come to us. So we have quite a few organizations that meet in the library. I'm sure you're mostly aware that we have the study pods in the far end or also like the boardroom. So over the course of the week, we have several social services that are here. So on Tuesdays, we have Contact Community Services. They are based out of Alliston. They're an organization that helps people access housing. They try to prevent homelessness or anyone at risk of homelessness. They help people with utilities as well as rental arrears, and they'll also help people. There's different government forms they can fill out to help with bills and help with funding that they can get. They do landlord and tenant resolutions, and then they also offer referrals to other social services. They have a wing of their organization that has employment services. So that is based in Bradford, but Innisfil residents can access it as well. So they help people prepare for the workplace. They also have a seniors programs that we've worked with as well and had some senior programs here. And I know they've taken them into Sandy Cove as well, where obviously a lot of our seniors are. So that's a wonderful organization. And Lacey, she's been the person that comes here every Tuesday, like I said, and she's in a pod where either people can drop in with her or she takes people like by appointment. So Thursdays here are the very busiest day at the library. We have several social services. And one of them is the Canadian Mental Health Association. As we know, that is something that, you know, is talk on everybody's mind or people's mental health right now. I think for the people here, when we closed down during the pandemic, I'm not sure if you all knew, but we made care calls. So we called hundreds of people, mostly seniors during that time. And, you know, we were just calling just to check on them, but sometimes we were the only person they were talking to in a day. We were getting unloaded on of some of the issues that were happening here. And I think we weren't really aware of those things happening until that time. So Danielle comes here every Thursday afternoon and she takes drop-in counseling as well as appointments as well. Now, some of these organizations too can't stay in Innisfil unless people come. So it's getting the word out that these social services are here, because they kind of start rolling and then all of a sudden the numbers aren't there and they have to leave. So promoting it is really important. And with mental health, for some people, it is a stigma. So coming into the library isn't always ideal, that people can see what they're, you know, who they're talking to potentially. But for a lot of people, they used to be up at Rizzardo, and with transportation, it was really difficult to get to the Rizzardo. So they've been coming here, which is wonderful. On Thursday is what we have My Sister's Place. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with that organization. They're also from Alliston. They're a nonprofit organization that provides outreach and residential services to women and children living with violence and oppression, as well as legal advocacy. So again, they take drop-ins and they will also see clients here too. Now again on Thursday. We have the YMCA Immigration Services. So they have been coming here for years, long before I started working here, and helping new Canadians navigate government forms, education, English classes, schooling. So now we've seen more new Canadians to this area. I think the number is one of the highest in Innisfil and all of Simcoe County. So when they were polled, the top 3 things that help new immigrants transition to life in Simcoe County are making friends, having family, and coming to the public library. So back in January, I was at a conference for immigration services. And it's funny, like everybody said, I'm usually on the desk, but lately I've been getting out. So that's new for me. But I did go to a conference. It was through the county, so immigration services. And I found out there that ESL funding has been cut in the government in the past couple of years, which I find extraordinary considering we've had more new Canadians than ever. So we worked really hard to fill the gap here because we also don't have English classes in Innisfil. They're offered currently through the Barrie Learning Center online, or if you could get to Barrie. And we've worked with the YMCA and they're offering conversation circles. One of our staff members has a Russian background and she is really involved with the new Ukrainians here. So she has a really great Facebook network and she's used those networking skills to get people to come to the conversation circle. And it's been super rewarding and well used. So it was really great to go to the conference and understand the need of the community that maybe we didn't really realize that we needed here. So there's also, I recently found out an immigration center in Bradford that Innisfil people can access, but they're closed in the summer. And again, it's transportation. So they all have a wing that helps new Canadians help register their kids for school as well and get the needs of what people will need here. I also met at that conference the ESL teacher at Nantire, and he has had to cobble together some resources because again, he's had more newcomers than ever. So we finally managed to have them come here and it was so amazing. The kids got to use the Hack Lab and a couple of kids had never been to a library before because in the places they came from, there just wasn't access. And then some of them too are not as comfortable with a government service. So it was really great to see that. And some of the kids that could speak Russian really connected, which most of the Ukrainian kids can, with Mariana. They've been back several times and they've done their volunteer hours here for high school. So it's been really wonderful and really rewarding. And then it lets them bring their families in to come here and see our services for their younger children or themselves. So that's done really well here. And I think there's more we can do. So it just takes time to get these things rolling. So, but it'll happen, I'm sure. Another organization that comes to the library, I think they were here last week or the week before, was Shift. So support and hope for individuals and families today. So you know that they have outreach as well as a shelter. So the outreach program comes here on Thursday afternoons and they bring prepared meals, hygiene products, clothes, as well as harm reduction kits. And last Thursday, we actually needed them here, which is amazing. And I will tell you, my daughter works there. So I knew last week we were opening the branch and one of my team members, Emma, was opening our digital media lab, which is in the far corner. She noticed there was a young man outside and he was rolling a joint, but whatever. And she said, I think he looks like he's in trouble. So Rob and I went out and we said to him, are you okay? And he said, no. He said, it's only weed. And I said, you know, just so you know, weed is like alcohol. You can't smoke it, like you can't drink alcohol in public. But he goes, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know, which is fine. I said, can we help you with anything? And I can be overbearing, so I wanted to be careful, you know, because I didn't want to scare him away. I wanted him to know that it was okay to come in here. So I said, we have food inside and I can help you get resources. Do you have anywhere to stay? And he says, no, I don't. I said, why don't you come in when you feel like it, come to the desk, ask for me, and I will help you. Well, amazingly, he did come in because, you know, sometimes it's hard to take that step. And he introduced himself. I found out, well, I won't tell you his name because of privacy, but I'm going to call him Max because I found out he's 20 and my son Max is 20. And it really like hit me because, you know, in other circumstances, it could be him. And he said he doesn't have anywhere to stay. He doesn't have a cell phone. He doesn't have a food. I said, I can help you. I explained what Shift does if he needed any resources that they can help him with the services. And he said he would like help. So I said, please take anything you want from the fridge and the pantry. Unfortunately, last week, I'm not sure if you all saw on our social media, but there was a 1-year-old birthday party in town. And instead of gifts, they gave food for the fridge. So there was lots of easy snacks to take, which was super helpful. So I ended up calling my daughter knowing she was going to be here at noon. And I said, could you bring some supplies for this young man? I'm not sure because he's a bit skittish what exactly he needs, but he brings some maybe prepared meals, whatever. So I told them they were coming and I said, when they get here, would you go out and talk to them? He said yes. So they did get here. I took them out, introduced them to my daughter and some of the other outreach workers. And because we don't have a shelter here, she gave them a tent, which they have because a lot of the shelters are full anyways, a tent and a sleeping bag. And she gave a backpack of clothes and some hygiene products. He was really happy. He came in and I offered him a library card. I didn't know he was going to be here because we have rules about library cards. You have to show ID that you live in Innisfil. He did not have ID. He couldn't get his social insurance number. I have a feeling he was kicked out and all of his things were at home. So I gave him and just, you know, because I didn't want him to feel like, I wanted him to feel like he can come in. I said, you can stay here from open till close, you know, like go on the computer, whatever you need, just ask us. And again, I didn't want to be pushy because I didn't want to scare him away. But last Thursday was the terrible weather. So I was done at 5. My colleague Mariana, who is wonderful, and as are all my colleagues, she called me after hours and said, he can't sleep outside. Like we're having, you know, torrential rains. It might be a tornado. What do I do? My daughter was home. She's like, call Youth Haven. It's another shelter in Barrie, but it's for youth up to age 24. Full. Call Busby. Full. keep in mind too, if he was going there, we would have had to pay for him to get there, which is fine, but you know, that's a Band-Aid and it's one person. We can't do it for everybody. So all of those were full. So my daughter knew, which I didn't know, that you could call the police and there are crisis beds. Where are those crisis beds, if you don't mind me asking?
There's some in Barrie and there's some in York.
Oh, okay. So we don't know what happened to this young man, but the police did came and he was very grateful. And I hope he does come back and knows that this is a safe place to come and he can stay here. And it's interesting because I said to him, you look familiar to me. Did you go to high school with my kids? I said, did you go? My kids went to St. Pete's. He goes, no. And I said, did you do your volunteer hours here? He said, no, I was part of the mayhem and madness of a few years ago. And when he said that, I went, oh, pre-pandemic, we had a group of kids that hung out here that caused a lot of problems. And when he said that, it totally brought back all those memories, because even though we have been calling the police on some kids, it's not the same problems that we're having now. So that brought back those memories, but he was so nice and so sweet. And like I said, he reminded me of someone like my son might know. And it makes you realize like the needs of the community, because it was so difficult to get resources here. Sorry, I go off on a tangent, guys.
That was a good story.
I know. Well, I think it's really important to know, like, we all, you know, Innisfil's beautiful, and you don't see the homeless people, you don't see the people struggling, because we don't have the places where they can hang out, but there really is a lot of people struggling here. You know that from the support you give in the community, but as well as with the fridge, that it's really shocking to me, and I wouldn't know it if I didn't work here. I would just go on my merry way and make my donations online like I do and not really realize what is happening here. So I don't know what more we can do, but we can do more. And I think just being aware of what's happening here, it just kind of gets your wheels turning, especially with you guys, with the movers and shakers of this town, and you can make stuff happen. So we also have some other resources that are coming here. Another one is called Youth Call. They're run through the Catholic Family Services. So they've been coming and doing drop-in the afternoon on Thursdays for teens. So it kind of gives them, makes them comfortable, gives them social connections, some mental health support. We have Elizabeth Fry Society that comes here as well for use. So they've just started doing some programs in conjunction in it too. It's about advocacy for use and helping people with homelessness. We've had Matthew's House as well that have done workshops with us. It's a hospice in Alliston, and they've done grief counseling here for people as well as other programs. We have Huronia Transition Homes coming. That one's out of Midland, and they come here and counsel people. It's another nonprofit, counsel women that are in shelters or victims of sexual assault. We have probation workers that work out of here, youth workers, as well as social workers. Coming soon is OW, which is super exciting, Ontario Works, because again, you have to go into Barrie if you need to meet with a worker. She's gonna start coming here every other Friday. What's great about it is previously, if kids that can't live at home needed to access government funds, they needed to be signed off by their parents. Well, now she can be their trustee and they can access money. Because I know from talking to Anne with Christmas for Kids that there's a lot of kids that are couch surfing that don't have reliable addresses. And that is a great service that they can access and may not know that there's funding for them. I've also had an older gentleman that he wasn't getting his old age pension, and he's been entitled for almost a year. He's been emailing and that's great, but nothing is happening. So he had an appointment in Barrie. He doesn't drive. He's 64 because he can't afford a car. He rode his bike into the Barrie South train station and took a bus to the office. Well, the worker didn't show up. So it's just amazing the barriers people face to try to get things that are for them. Last week I went to another outreach. I don't even know why, Erin. Why am I doing all these outreaches? It was Coffee Conversation through the Georgian College for newcomers for employment. So while I was there wasn't a lot of people that came because it was in Barrie in the new health center. And I think for a lot of people it was transportation. But while I was there, I made some connections with a couple of organizations that were there that we're hoping to get here as well. One of them is Family Connections. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, is a rebrand of Children's Aid. And as we were talking, she was suggesting what I think is a great idea. She wants to do parenting classes for people, because parenting in Canada is not the same as parenting in other countries. You can't leave your kids at home when they're 8. You can't spank your kids here. So she thought she would like to do some proactive programming. And I really think that is a great idea for people. So she would rather do that than go visit them later. So that's another program that we're hoping to come here. Another one, because I work at the library, another organization I sit on is SCATA. It is the Simcoe County Alliance to End Homelessness. So it is a movement that wants to prevent and end homelessness through coordinated strategies, advocacy, and awareness. So what we know, it's a 10 to 15-year wait to get into affordable housing. So what are people doing while they're waiting? So it's really important that we all work together and come up with ways and strategies to help people in our community. Because like I said, it's astounding. Now, it's not like this every day, all these stories, we don't have this every day, but it's happening more and more. And for my team, I have a customer service background, I'm not a social worker. And luckily one of our managers is a social worker here. So sometimes when I do things, I have to say, did I do that right? I've had people come while I'm in the office working and come and cry to me about, he is another one that was on Ontario Work. She only gets $658 a month. His rent was $450. He had to buy food with that. He couldn't keep his car anymore. And his son was living with his ex-wife in Barrie, and he had to get into town to do that. And he just was overwhelmed with the situation and he didn't know what to do. So we're sounding boards for people. And this is what we're doing in the library now. So as much as I love to share with you, and I can share with you all the amazing programs at the library, I really wanted to share with you the social services that are happening here and that are needed here in our community. Yes.
Well, I don't think you have to worry about public speaking.
No. I'm really passionate about this.
Because you are, that was excellent.
Okay.
But I gotta tell you something, I've known about this library since this was a vacant lot. And I've always felt that it was a wonderful place. I had no idea the extent. You're to be congratulated. You guys are fantastic. As far as all these problems are concerned, it's getting worse and worse in the country. And I think eventually the government is really going to have to step up.
Yes.
But thank God we got you guys.
Yeah. And we're not the only library that does this. This is like across Canada for sure that we all had to take part in. And because people trust the space and trust the people here to help them in a way that we can help as best as we can. And for sure, Aaron lets all this happen. So sometimes these people come into us like organically, like all these organizations, and there's so many more out there that could come here. And it's really great that we can keep going. But it's getting the word out that it's here and getting people that really need it to use it. Yeah.
Well, Shannon, thank you so much. We'd like to book you again.
Well, I would love to come back to represent
to give us a tour
sure.
of what's going on in the library as well, because we know there's so many changes.
If you want a tour today, I can do that after the meeting too. That's no problem.
Well,
we
we'll
are
book you for that.
over time, so if anybody
Oh,
has
okay.
questions, if they want to just
Sure.
compare everybody else, if people want to stay, it's fine. But in all fairness, we're after 8:30.
Oh,
So, but if anybody has questions, where can they find you?
I can give you a card at the desk, or Anne has my email as well. If you want to email Anne, she can forward it on to me for sure. But thanks for having us, and thanks for Abby for doing my PowerPoint.
Thank you, Shannon.
Activities online. We love you and the library staff. Kids look forward to going to our local library every week. Library was my saving grace when the kids were infants and toddlers, joining the early on program as well as library reading circle and many activities for the kids. Very grateful to have the access to our library and resources available.
Thanks, Andrea.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give you this certificate.
Oh, thank you.
It's on behalf of the club, and we'll be donating to the polio fund.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
So thank you.
And I've got right here, the last 3 digits are 962.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna call the meeting, ended at that particular point. If people want to be able to congregate, socialize, hey, use it.
Could you guys have this for here?
So one last bit, everybody, Jeff just reminded me that we have the books here. So for those of you who have sold, can you make sure you get some to get out to your individual locations? And if you need assistance, let us know. Some sold more than others.
Yeah.
Have a good day, everybody.